Have you ever spent an entire day staring at a blank screen or a growing to-do list, feeling like you're wading through mental molasses, only to have your brain suddenly click into high gear at 11 p.m.? While the rest of the world is winding down, you are finally finding your flow. You aren't just procrastinating, and you aren't just a night owl. In the world of psychology, this late-night surge isn't necessarily a bad habit. It's often a sophisticated psychological safety mechanism. Today, we're going to explore the concept of revenge bedtime procrastination, the fascinating night watchman theory of evolution, and why the silence of the night provides the perfect low-stakes environment for your brain to finally feel safe enough to work. To understand the late-night productivity surge, we first have to look at the circadian rhythm, but not in the way you'd expect. While society is built around a 9 to 5 chronotype, research suggests that roughly 30% of the population are natural evening types. This isn't a choice, it's a genetic variation in your internal clock. There is a compelling evolutionary theory known as the Sentinel Hypothesis, which suggests that our ancestors lived in groups with staggered sleep schedules. Having night owls wasn't a flaw, it was a survival necessity. Someone had to stay awake to watch the fire and guard the tribe while others slept. If you feel more alert at 2 a.m., it might be because your brain is carrying the ancient DNA of a protector, wired to be hypervigilant when the world goes dark.
But the psychological reason you feel more productive at night goes much deeper than just biology. It often boils down to something called revenge bedtime procrastination. This occurs when people who don't have much control over their daytime life, due to a demanding job, family obligations, or social expectations, refuse to sleep at night in an attempt to regain a sense of freedom. When you work at night, you aren't just doing tasks, you're stealing time back from a world that demands too much of you during the day. This stolen time feels more valuable because it belongs entirely to you. There are no emails coming in, no Slack notifications, and no one asking you for just a quick minute. This leads us to the most powerful psychological driver of nighttime productivity, the removal of social pressure. During the day, there's a heavy, invisible weight of expectation. We feel like we should be productive, which triggers a subtle fight or flight response in the brain. For many, this pressure creates task paralysis. When you know other people are awake and potentially judging your output, the stakes feel high. But at night, the world is asleep. There's a psychological safety in the silence. Because you aren't supposed to be working at 1 a.m., the pressure to perform vanishes. You've entered a low-stakes environment where it's okay to play, to experiment, and to fail. Ironically, by lowering the stakes, you unlock the ability to actually get things done. Another factor is a neurological phenomenon called frontal lobe fatigue. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive function, impulse control, and filtering your thoughts, gets tired as the day goes on. You might think a tired brain would be less productive, but for certain types of creative work, a slightly fatigued frontal lobe is actually an advantage. When your inner critic is too tired to tell you your ideas are stupid, your creativity can finally flow. The filter is down, allowing you to make connections and take risks that your wide-awake daytime brain would have blocked. At night, you aren't overthinking, you're just doing.
There is also the concept of mental context switching. During the day, our brains are constantly interrupted by micro-distractions. Every time you check your phone or hear a car drive by, your brain has to expend energy to refocus. This is called the switching cost. At night, the sensory input is drastically reduced. The hum of the refrigerator or the steady rhythm of your own breathing becomes a form of brown noise that helps anchor your focus. In this sensory vacuum, you can finally reach a state of hyperfocus or flow. This is the psychological state where time seems to disappear and the work becomes effortless. For many, this state is physically impossible to achieve in a loud, bright daytime environment.
However, we have to address the guilt that often comes with this schedule. We live in a hustle culture that glorifies the 5 a.m. wake-up call, labeling early risers as disciplined and night owls as lazy. This creates a psychological conflict. You are productive at night, but you feel bad about it, which creates stress that eventually leads to burnout. The key is to stop viewing your nighttime productivity as a failure of discipline and start seeing it as a safety mechanism. Your brain is choosing the night because the night is the only time it feels safe from the noise of the world. So, how do you manage this without destroying your health? The first step is radical acceptance. Stop fighting your chronotype. If you know you do your best work between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., try to structure your life to accommodate that, rather than forcing yourself into a morning routine that leaves you exhausted and unproductive. Second, practice strategic napping. If you're going to be a night owl, you have to respect your body's need for total sleep volume. It's not about when you sleep, but how much you sleep. Finally, recognize the why behind your nighttime surge. If you only feel productive when the world is asleep, it might be a sign that your daytime environment is too high pressure or too cluttered with distractions. You can try to bring some of that nighttime energy into your day by using do not disturb modes, noise-canceling headphones, and setting strict boundaries on your time. You aren't broken for working at night. You've simply found a way to create a sanctuary of focus in a world that is designed to distract you. If you've finally realized that your late-night focus isn't a flaw, but a survival strategy, you're already ahead of the curve. Your brain isn't being stubborn, it's simply seeking out the one time of day where the world's expectations can't reach you. If this look into your internal clock helped you feel a little more at peace with your rhythm, consider subscribing to join our community. We're all here to better understand the hidden mechanics of being human. And if you want to keep exploring the why behind the things you do every day, click the video on your screen now to dive into our next deep dive. Thanks for watching.